All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Top Corner Football Podcast, where you can get all of your news, rumors, match predictions, match results, and breakdowns, queries and theories and all sorts of eerie's regarding the seasons around Europe. With me today is my co-host, Jordan. How are you doing today, Jordan?
I'm good. I'm doing very, very, very good.
Feeling better after your illness. You kicked out at 2 and you really hit that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we got a good show today.
Yes, sir.
We had a lot of exciting news, I guess, and games last weekend, and whatever.
And we've got some interesting stuff coming up in the future for the next episode. Just a little preview. Real Madrid and Girona is next week. We will be covering that. Very excited about that. But we can't do that yet because it hasn't happened. So let's kick into some news and some motherfucking rumors. The obvious story of the week, possibly story of the year if you want to give it to him. I don't want to give it to him because it's been documented on the podcast. I don't dislike him as a player. I dislike his tendencies and how he sort of talks in public.
Mbappe to Madrid.
Yeah, it's official. It's official, and we can stop talking about it, right? We can finally stop. You're excited. You're antsy. I can see it.
Yeah. Le Parisien.
Yeah.
From Le Parisien. That's a credible source. Unless Mbappe turns around and,
it's been covered by multiple sources now. It would not just be the one. It is definitely. It's been pretty much everywhere now.
All right. We're winning everything next year, and for the next 2, 3, 4 years. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited. But that doesn't mean that will always work. We've seen a lot of times, and in a lot of sports, not just soccer, not just football, even in basketball, having all the greats of not even the greats, but having potentials and the best players or athlete in one team, thinking you creating a super team, but at the end of the day, too much egos and too much tralala whatnot, and it doesn't work out. But I'm excited to see how. Let's say before we can say, it didn't work out. We're winning everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, the only downside to it, I think, is the prospect, which seems pretty certain at this point, is losing Vinicius Jr.
Yeah.
And possibly having some fallout. And I think now, when it comes to Real Madrid fans, they are a little bit different than other fans in Europe. I don't want to say that they're less loyal, but they are more, their loyalty lies more with winning than the actual fandom of the club itself. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's been facilitated by decades and decades of victory. So they like this kid, Vinicius. They've said it. The club, the institution liked him. The players liked him. The staff liked him. The fans liked him a lot. And he was sort of, put on a pedestal by everyone, saying like, you are the next young star. And that everyone is still willing to let him go like it's nothing if they can get Mbappe. It's just it is a very strange thing with the fandom that's not what I look for a lot with fans for clubs. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want Mbappe, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't understand that sometimes it's time to move on. Yeah. But they were cursing his name, Mbappe, last summer when he fucked them around. Or was it 2 summers ago when he said he was going to show up and he didn't show up? And we've made jokes that it was like being stood up on a blind date at the bowling alley. And like I get that, but the fact that you're so willing to throw the young talent aside that you've put on a pedestal for the guy that snubbed you once so easily. I'm not saying that it can't be done. Yeah. But the fans are just very quick to stab someone in the back and pursue something else. It's a very curious situation for the club. But Vinicius Jr., it's like, where does he go if he does leave? And we've seen the theories of Manchester United, and that makes no sense to me, and I believe it makes no sense to you.
Yeah, I think for Vinicius Jr., he has a lot of potential, and he has a lot of options. So I don't think he will be struggling to find a team. There's a lot of teams out there that will kill to have him in their lineup. So
he gets to choose wherever he goes. He's not taking second best. I don't think, at least.
No. So I think he's in good hands. I think he has everything that he needs to succeed, and he's still playing at a higher level, so there's no form drop. In fact, I think he's in good form, good shape or whatnot. So I'm not too worried about where he lands, but I can see teams like Liverpool trying to snatch him up.
Yeah, we talked about that last week about how much sense that makes and how much sense it doesn't make for United. But I think that especially in their matchup against Arsenal this past week, they could have used Vinicius's skill, and I do think that he's a better shot than Luis Diaz. And Luis Diaz looked okay at times. He was very mobile and very threatening with creating space, but ultimately the shot wasn't quite there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that Vinicius Jr. would have given them a better chance. That was not the reason that they lost, though, was Luis Diaz. That was not it at all. But no, there are plenty of clubs, like you said, that would be willing to have him, and plenty that makes sense. And I believe that he could pretty much go wherever he wants to go, except for Real Madrid, apparently, which is funny to me.
Yep, but I think he got it. He got it.
I like him. I respect him as a player a lot. So speaking of, yeah, I like him.
A lot of people don't like him, but a lot of it's because of his antics, I guess, or something like that.
I like that kind of stuff. It's give and take for me.
I thought you don't like that kind of stuff.
He gets under fans' skin during matches, and I do like that.
Okay,
I do enjoy that. It's speaking to media outside and like doing stuff on social medias that I'm not a huge fan of. But if you can get under the player's skin on the pitch, and the fans dislike you for what you do on the pitch, I kind of have a soft spot for that. So with Mbappe heading to PSG and leaving an empty spot at PSG, we've got to talk about the replacement that Paris Saint-Germain are going to have. And it looks like Rafa Leão is not only declaring that I think he said it was, quote, past his cycle at Milan, which, I can't tell if it's just poetic prose or maybe a language barrier, but it's a very flowery way to say that. I liked it. He has talked about either wanting to go to a Premier League side, which I can see, but he's also showed interest in PSG, which I do also understand. Whether or not I think that PSG is a destination club, I personally do not, and I think that they've had evidence over the last decade to show that. They've tried to put a lot of effort and energy into getting to that next step as a club, and they've not been able to do it. So while it might be a big payday and it is an upgrade from AC Milan in terms of contemporary status, AC Milan is the more important of clubs historically. We know this, obviously, but that could be a good fit for him. There's a lot of young players there. He has that energy and that excitement to create chances. Do you see him possibly going anywhere else? PSG does make a lot of sense to me. Do you think that that's the number one at the moment?
Yeah,
I would say so.
I would say I would say get out of Italy.
Yeah, for sure.
For him, especially.
Yeah.
So
and because there's no space up top really for him at Inter. Because Marcus Thuram is sort of operating in his space if he were to switch the Milan side, which is considered a no-no by fans, but whatever. Napoli's a wash. Atalanta's too inconsistent. Juventus is boring, and more importantly, they seem to just constantly get, for the lack of a better word, protruded by these financial deals. They're constantly getting points deducted. Like it seems like they're under a microscope. Like people are just looking for reasons to deduct points from Juventus, and they're boring to watch. And he's a very exciting player to watch. So I think PSG makes a lot of sense. So what about Chelsea wanting to sack Pochettino, which is the right move, obviously, but they're really looking for Xabi Alonso. What do you think about that? If you're Xabi Alonso in the starting points of your managerial career, do you want to go to a club like that that's just shown that
it could go?
It doesn't make any sense to me.
But it could go both ways though. Let's say Xabi Alonso is starting well, starting strong with Bayer Leverkusen, keep making a killing over there. Let's say he finished the season strong, potentially winning the cup if he potentially. Then you go to a Chelsea, a team that is in shambles, a team that has no future apparently, and a team that has a lot of potential, but there is no other. And you go there and you fix things and you make a killing the next year. Then guess what? His stock as a manager just went 100x up. Now the flip on the flip side though, he could go there and with whatever is happening at Chelsea now, and it just takes the piss out of everything he's been building.
Every single thing. It ruins his stock quite a bit. And you just have to ask yourself this: in 10 years, could he be considered a better manager than Mauricio Pochettino? Very, very likely. I can see that.
Depending if his track record stays constant from what we've been seeing,
yeah,
then yeah.
What I'm saying is that he's going to be able to prove himself in other places. He's already proving himself to be a very successful manager, building up a Leverkusen squad that never have a ton of funding, never really have more than one or two exceptional players at any moment, most of which always get purchased by the buying clubs. They get picked apart in the off season. This is how those mid-table sides of the surrounding leagues of the Premier League work. They just get picked apart, and their carcasses have to carry on for the next summer. And they're really good at buying unseen talent, but maintaining the unseen talent is rare. So for them to be able to do this the way that they have so convincingly, to me, that's showing his worth. I don't really think that he gains much going to Chelsea. I think that he spends 2 more seasons at Leverkusen.
Yeah.
And there was a small rumor that maybe he's the one that replaces Klopp. That's where you go. I think that you really damage your potential market value as a manager by going to a club where managers with more experience than you, whether or not they are better in 10 years' time, we'll see, but they have more experience than you. What makes you think that it'd be any different if you went to Chelsea?
So there's a couple of great managers that are out of jobs or quitting jobs, but there's a lot of them like in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, Liverpool, if I'm Liverpool, because there's 2 clubs that potentially look into, even 3 clubs, because Barcelona is looking to get a new coach.
Yeah.
Liverpool will be looking to get a new coach. Those 2 are for sure. Then
2 massive platforms to be
on. Then Chelsea, not sure yet, but depending on how this thing goes, they might be looking to get a new coach. But you also, in terms of greatness of coaches, you got Mourinho. That's out of
he's just hanging out.
He's just hanging out.
Yeah.
You got Antonio Conte, which I don't know if teams will be willing to give him, but that's a good manager too. Yeah. Then up and coming, you got Xavi. Then you got Xabi Alonso.
Yeah. No.
So I wonder what will the way Xabi Alonso is playing. I feel like if he went to Barcelona, he will have a higher success rate. Because of the team is so young, so they can adapt to the style of playing he wants, or he is doing currently by Leverkusen. Now, for teams like Liverpool, most of the players that are seasoned, you will be looking to transition into building.
Yeah.
Or still, because most of them are they're not old, they're just in mid.
For the last 2 seasons, Liverpool have been in transition, and they've done pretty well. I mean, for everyone that was there 4 years ago, there's an equal amount that are pretty brand new, and they've been pretty fluid, and you have to thank Klopp for that 100%.
Yeah, true. And but those players are not as young to instill your style in a sense, right?
Yeah.
It could be your style, but it wouldn't be as harsh or like as 100% unique, because the way the team is set up right now, there's a lot of people that are kind of also playing their own style within the style of the manager. So you wonder if Xavi will be good for Liverpool, or will Xavi require a new set of players?
Yeah.
Will Xabi Alonso will be good for Liverpool, or Xabi Alonso will require a new set of players? It could go both ways for them as a win-win.
It's two veteran managers. Well, so there's a lot of clubs that are opening up for a new manager, and you've got 2 seasoned veterans open, and the 2 young, very promising as well. So it is a good place for both clubs and managers where everything's kind of opening up at the same time. And I'll say this, and I might say it in a way that's a bit controversial, but I do think that it's an interesting way to look at it as well. You said that Xabi Alonso might have a better record at Barcelona.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because he's been coaching Leverkusen, who have no proven world-class players, and neither does Barcelona? So maybe he finds a way to make it work with what he's got?
No,
because he does that better than Xavi did.
It's because of the philosophy of play.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the players itself. It's the philosophy. Because Barcelona has been the way people play, all teams play, comes from the Barcelona philosophy of play, which is tiki-taka, in a sense. But this is this is Koeman's style of play. This is Pep Guardiola, and this has been instilled since the conception of new Barcelona, the 21st century of Barcelona. So it will be easier for a manager that has the same system to do well at Barcelona. In a sense, if they're not on pressure like Xavi.
Yeah.
And difficult for a manager like Pochettino. You put him at Barcelona, even if you put him with the Messi and Iniesta, he wouldn't do what? He wouldn't be able to coach well because that's not his philosophy of coaching.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mourinho. You drop him in that style of ideology or in that ideology of play, he won't do good.
Yeah.
So this is teams that this is a coach that are looking into coming with brand new style of play and players, but you can't do that with Barcelona. They don't have the financial, they don't have the financial support to do that, meaning they cannot start buying players. And B, these players are so young, so most of them still have future. So you have to make them work. And most of them are world-class players. You have a lot of these guys in the light. You have a lot of world-class players in there in Barcelona. It's just that Xavi is under pressure, and
who's world class there? Because I'm looking at it's one of those rare moments I think where the Leverkusen side is not. They're pretty equal in terms of what, like Pedri, Gavi.
Yeah,
you're looking at that versus Xhaka, Grimaldo, Florian Wirtz, Victor Boniface.
Yeah, but in a scale of 1 to 10, who has more future is those guys. Xhaka, he wouldn't do.
No, but he's part of the reason that this Leverkusen side is doing what they're doing.
True, but he can't sustain that for 2 or 3 years.
No.
Than a team like Barcelona.
But Boniface, Grimaldo, and Wirtz are young though. And I think
those guys are young.
And they are at that age where they've been proving themselves to be nothing but good.
Yeah.
Whereas Gavi has shown his weaknesses. Pedri has as well. De Jong most certainly has. Araujo is playing horrendously, and Christensen's way past it. I just think that it's an interesting time where the Leverkusen side is much closer to the quality of Barcelona than they're expected to be, and historically haven't been.
So I would say this: Leverkusen side is more quality-wise, yeah. But in terms of individual talent, that could mimic that quality that Barcelona used to have. The Barcelona player beats them by far. They just need, because they won last year. That's pretty much the same team that won. So they just need
to play like it again.
Different. They just need something different. And provided there weren't no pressure, I think that Xavi could have made it work. And it probably might take some time or whatnot. But when you've been at the top for so long, you also forget one thing. Unless you make it in a way that you're always building and shifting, transitioning, you forget one important thing is it takes also a long time for you to get back if you fell off. Because that's been the fall of Barcelona, in a sense, has been happening before their eyes since 2014. Although they were good, they forgot to start transitioning with young players that could carry on the system. But depending on the old players, that was still at the peak at the moment, but they didn't do. Like in 2015, when you start losing that much, in 2016 you forget and you go dependent on Messi and mostly, and you forget to bring. Then you get stuck. The good thing, especially with teams that have this strong philosophy of playing that is about the system and not the individual play, it's really difficult to stay at the top if you don't think about the next transition after 2 years, after 3 years. You always transitioning to make sure. Now, in teams like Madrid, that's why I kind of like the old way of playing, in a sense, at 50%, where the emphasis is not heavy on the system of play, but on how each players connect with each place, kind of like a relationship type play. So with that, it's easy. Madrid can always transition at any point. Like Leverkusen, same thing. Who has done that thing before? You put Leverkusen right now. If you in the next 2-3 years you don't plug in players that will come and do that, then you kind of fall off, and you have a new set of players and want to do that. It becomes difficult.
Yeah,
because they've
sort of taken that place Leverkusen have of what Dortmund is usually doing in the Bundesliga, where they are second in command to Bayern, but they're still a selling club.
Yeah,
so they have to find ways to, once they do have that spark, and they sort of rise above what they're expected to do. But then once they do what they're expected to, once they move past what they're expected to do, they get picked apart by the buying clubs.
Yeah,
and sometimes they maintain. But more often than not, they sort of are knocked back down for a couple of years. But I get that, and it'll be very interesting to see who will take up the mantle at Barcelona, and if they can really get those players which you said that on average they are of better individual quality than that of Leverkusen, despite not playing that well as a team right now. If a coach that's more understanding of what it means to play as a team can come in and make that system work. But let's move on to another. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because like if you drop a Mourinho in there.
Yeah.
Unless you have money, because in a sense, and Mourinho has not been fortunate enough to, in this, I would say the last 5 years, to get a team that is really willing to spend.
I'd say more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that with whatever he has, but
because he wasn't able to spend that much when he was at United, was he? He made a couple of purchases, but nothing extreme.
I think he could, but it wasn't probably what he was thinking. But at Roma he couldn't. They don't have.
Yeah, no. And he got them a European trophy.
Yeah,
it was the Conference League, but they still got it, and Roma should be thankful for that.
Yeah, because unless you do that, because these guys will come in and try to buy a new set of players. They come in with their own philosophy, and if they don't try to buy new players, playing with what they have, most of these players are more systematically kind of players. They're more there is a new style, so it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
Unless you have to bring a coach that actually understand that very well. Yeah, and I think that would be Xabi will be someone that would
he's got to be near the top of all. I think that Xabi Alonso is near the top of all of these clubs that are kind of opening up for new management. So speaking of clubs that are not playing as well as they are expected to, but have sort of come around a little bit, Manchester United looked pretty solid against West Ham. Do you think that Erik ten Hag has sort of saved his place? Because he was on the chopping block for months and months, but it looks like Rasmus Højlund is playing pretty well, coming into what he's supposed to be doing, and Garnacho is a very, very good player. So what do you think? Has he sort of stayed, has he bought himself time, or do you think that it's a bit of an understanding that he is the guy moving forward for the foreseeable future?
I feel like, because even with that, even with Jim Ratcliffe, I think Ratcliffe have probably resumed the management side at this point in time. Not resume, but I think he is now in charge, and they haven't been noise about trying to sack him or fire him or anything. I think United still believes in him as the guy that will be good for the job. Now
the players seem to be playing more for him again.
So I think it's weird, because I think the whole time Erik ten Hag is trying to make sure the players understand that they're not bigger than the team and the coach.
Which it should be the case.
And players that have the money, like that, they were offered a lot of money, that had some sort of status in terms of this athlete world, thinking, I don't want to be talked to like that, especially with also the new generation. I remember Mourinho was like, he can't coach like he used to coach, because he would tell John Terry, hey, if you don't play, I will fire you and go get someone else. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
When Sir Alex Ferguson told Beckham, when Beckham had that, it was like how'd you call it, a roster kind of. And he told him, if you don't get, you have to go get a haircut.
Yeah, this looks ridiculous.
If you try to do that with this new age, just because that's how society is now, it becomes a problem. I think he needed this type of players, because they're all under 21. I think one just celebrated a birthday, Garnacho or something like that. But I think the whole time he's trying to come with his own idea, style, philosophy, and it hasn't been working, because most of the players are not willing to play what he wants to do.
Yeah. And most players now are, because of social media, they're very narcissistic, very self-important. They could have had the same attitude as players 20 years ago, And players from 20 years ago could be in the league today with social media and probably be just as bad. But that's what happens when everyone thinks that they're a little activist because they have a couple of million people hanging on their every word from a keyboard, which is embarrassing to me. I do agree. I don't think that he's off the chopping block, but I think that he's earned some time. He's earned a lot more time than I think we were expecting.
So I kind of like his lineup, but his lineup against West Ham. Rashford on the side, left side. Yeah. Garnacho on the right side. Highland, he was
up top. Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes played great. Casemiro played very good too. Yep. Meno, that kid is great.
He's good.
He's killing it. Yeah. So,
and he's 18, right?
Yeah.
Let's. He's almost 19.
Almost.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
He's still young.
Yeah, I mean that is the definite. Lisandro Martinez is back, and it looks like Harry Maguire's back in form. And you and I have had the conversation about Diego Dallo. I think that Diego Dallo is pretty underrated. Yeah. I don't think that he is necessarily quote unquote world class. Yeah. And there are obviously right backs in the leagues in Europe that are better than him, but I will say this: at a time when it was basically two players holding this United side up, it was Garnacho and it was Dallo. Those were the two that if you could pick out two good performances at their lowest, those are the two guys that you usually pulled away with.
Yeah.
So this is not necessarily news. We can pretty much rip right past it, but it's sort of setting the record straight. Pep Guardiola essentially says Haaland is not unhappy at Manchester City. He is unhappy with his injury taking up months and months and being a bit more of a pain in the ass, or knee rather, than it was expected to be. So he's upset about the injury itself, the lack of playing time because of injury, which makes complete sense. So he just sort of set it straight. Apparently, maybe some Spanish media were getting a hold of some stories and spinning this thread that maybe he was, because I read them too, where he was saying essentially he needed to move out of England to maybe get these higher level accolades, which there is a layer of truth to that, but it wouldn't be the first time that Spanish media kind of fabricated some things to make it all about either Real Madrid or Barcelona, and in this case, putting him at the possibility of going to Real Madrid, which could still happen. It still does make sense.
Yes.
But Pep Guardiola essentially set it straight and just said, no, it is purely about the injury. He is happy here. Take it easy. Do you have anything to add to that? It's pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah. Nah, that's good.
All right. Well, let's kick it to some of the matches around Europe. Let's start, if you want. Go ahead.
Before we get to Europe, let's talk about the AFCON. Man.
Ooh, forgot about the AFCON. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The AFCON is killing it.
Semifinals.
Oh, my goodness. I think...
that's right. You got to talk about the Ivory Coast and Mali debacles. What was going on there?
Oh, man. And I would say this, right? I think this year, which is every year, of course, but this year there's been a full display of how far and also progressive of how African football has been going. Because the eight teams that four
now.
Teams, but 8 prior to this, but the 4 teams or 8 teams that will qualify are all different from the 8 teams that qualified 2 years ago.
This was the tournament of underdogs in a good way. Of just everything's sort of leveling the playing field. Now, if they can match it next tournament, that'll be telling. But I mean, this is like all underdogs coming together at the
end. I remember Gary Lineker. He was covering one of the Ivory Coast stuff. You know him, former English player. Yeah. He said, "My goodness, Ivory Coast, what an extraordinary story. Survive group stage." This guy, when I look at it, I'm just thinking of Portugal 2016 when they barely make it, and they made it with 3 points, and they won the Euros. So they survived the stage after finishing last. The manager resigned. So right now, I think it's one of the staff member that's coaching the team.
Yeah.
Survived Senegal with the last kick of the game. They have survived Mali with 10 men. And I will tell you what happened during the game. And I think this game was full with passion. It was full with...
it was full of something.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
It was full with everything. Passion. They were all passionate. They were all fighting. And it just had that thing. And so this player Traore, he gets he gets a yellow card, and Mali gets awarded. Not Traore, my bad. Kusuno, he gets a red card, and Mali gets awarded a penalty. Then Mali takes the penalty and miss, and the same player gets another tackle on one of the Malian players, and he gets red carded, and he's out. So Ivory Coast is playing 10 against 1, against 11. When they come back for second half,
10 against 1 will be wild.
10 against 1.
That'd be awesome. I would have to see that.
So when they come back, second half, Mali scores, and you're thinking, wow, this is Mali. How is Ivory Coast gonna make it through? Guess what? Ivory Coast scored at the 90th plus 8 or something minute, or the 90th minute. They score. So now the score is 1-1, and they still play. They go to extra time. I think I kind of understand why the Malian players were mad. And extra time, Ivory Coast score a goal at 120 plus 1. Because at this point the game should have been stopped.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why they were mad. But the game was filled with drama and everything, and they had so many memes. And the Malian player was so mad that they started turning on the referees, and they wanted to beat the referee.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like what is a sort of continental tournament without at least one brawl? There's got to be one brawl. It's not a continental classic unless there's a brawl.
Yeah, it's not. The last time South Africa went this far was in probably in the 90s, actually.
Yeah, I was expecting Cape Verde to come through with that, because they were just once you get even if you're the underdog the entire way through the tournament, if you just can maintain that momentum of the upset, it continues to work in your favor. But the dream was over. Unfortunately,
this is the second time Congo made it to the second.
I was gonna ask you too. Yeah,
and also the last time they won the AFCON was in 1974.
Wow.
So if they win it, I wouldn't be mad.
That's wild.
Yeah. Nigeria won it in this decade too.
I was going to say, of those final four, Nigeria is the one with by far the most expectation and recent accolades in the tournament.
I think right now, if you want to pick someone that's the favorite, would be Nigeria.
Yeah. Based on just statistics alone.
Yeah. South Africa, the last time they won it, it was like after apartheid. Like when Nelson Mandela took over. They're like, So it's been a long time. Ivory Coast also won it in this decade. I think they won it in 2013. Or might be 2013 if I'm not mistaken. Either 13 or 15. My dates might be confusing. But Ivory Coast, man. I have this feeling that this might be for Ivory Coast. Yeah. Just because of the Portugal thing. So let's see.
Well, it's funny, like, because you text me, and then we'll move on from this and get to the matches in Europe. But you text me and you're like, you've got to watch the Mali Ivory Coast highlights, and I thought that it was just because it was a come from behind victory or some sort of wild goal or something. So I meant to, but because we've sort of been scrambling to get these shows together, we've been run ragged also prepping these shows, and I missed those highlights. I wish I had known that it was because there was some sort of WWE brawl.
No, you got it.
So I would have watched it right then and there.
Entertaining. Because first of all, the game itself was entertaining.
Yeah.
The last goal was a good goal.
Yeah.
So I think,
and then the brawl is just the cherry on top. This has everything. I love this so much. Yeah.
It was just amazing. And these guys were like, "Oh, we're not going out." And there's this funny meme of the Malian coach. He couldn't believe his eyes, and he was just on his knees, and his assistant came with water and just poured on his bald head. I was like,
that's so funny.
And one of the commentators was like, I really want to ask him, what was that?
Yeah, because I sat there and watched it at first and didn't know exactly what was funny about it. I was like, maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Maybe like this coach, this is like a thing that he does. I don't know. But it turns out that every single person alive was just like, what the fuck was that? Which I love that kind of stuff. That's so funny to me. People do weird things when faced with disaster.
Yeah.
All right, so let's kick into some of the stuff going on in Europe. Obviously the biggest matchup, although I will say, these were three big matchups.
Yeah.
You had Arsenal and Liverpool, you had Inter Milan and Juventus, and you had Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. So, deceptively, a pretty big weekend in terms of rivalries. Let's start with Arsenal-Liverpool. What did you think?
Oh, Arsenal-Liverpool was amazing. Amazing game. Arsenal dominated Liverpool on
especially in that first half.
Yeah, every single area of the pitch. They outnumber them, they outscore them, they outplay them, they outlive them if they do. But
if they do, we'll see.
They played the game in a clinical way, and that's what I was always expecting. I always wanted from Arsenal. It's if you have an opportunity, don't be messing around.
Right.
You gotta,
because that's what they've been doing for the second half of this season so far.
And my boy Saka, he showed up.
Yeah.
He showed up big time.
Martinelli
showed up big time.
Guess really what? Smacked around Arnold in the corner, didn't he?
Trossard, last goal, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna just do it myself.
Yeah.
And my boy
shouldn't have been able to score that either.
Havertz has gained so much confidence, and now he is one of the key points in that attack. Because most of this, or most of the attack launch, he was always at either the forefront or the bottom.
And he was pressing when there was a loss of possession, and they really forced. Well, I don't want to say forced, and that was where a lot of people were very confused by Liverpool's performance. Liverpool is a very aggressive, forwardly linked setup, right?
Yeah.
Few touches as possible, moving forward like a machine. That's what you make it hard to press, because as soon as you start pressing, you're opening up spaces and they pick you apart. They were insisting on playing more side to side.
Yeah.
And really playing slow with taking extra touches, which worked in Arsenal's favor of applying extra press. Havertz had to be one of the most annoying players in a good way. I mean, like if he's playing for you, drawing fouls that were obviously not getting over with the Liverpool fans, dragging people down in a good way, really pressing and making it difficult to get the ball out of the back. But Liverpool was very lethargic very slow to build, and it makes it easy to press and shut down that way. And then obviously the build-up of passing for Arsenal going forward was very smooth as well. Yeah. Like I said, Martinelli really gave McAllister and Gravenberch, but Arnold in particular, a lot of trouble closing him down. McAllister had a sloppy game defensively, but he did have a couple of good-looking shots on net, but that's not nearly enough. And Leandro Trossard has got to be the best bench player in the Premier League right now.
He's one of the best sub.
People keep saying, and I disagree based on the performances that I see. They're like, I just wish that he got more playing time, that he started more. It's like, no, I think that what works is that he's really good at watching the game. Yeah, watching the game and figuring out exactly what he needs to do differently.
Yeah,
in that build-up. And it's not the first time that he's done something like this. Yeah. It's not the first time that he's come on in the 56th or 64th minute and scored within 15 minutes. Like, these are just, this is what he really does. And if he's unhappy with the playing time, like, I understand as a player, but also as a player, you've got to look and see this is what gets the best results for the team. So maybe I want more playing time, but this is best for me overall too.
Liverpool had made a lot of rookie mistakes in their defense, especially Van Dijk. I wouldn't have expected the goal scored by Martinelli. That was really a rookie mistake by Van Dijk. He should have cleared that ball as soon as. Yeah. I know he was trying to protect and go around, but also Alisson just came out. Yeah. I didn't even understand his coming out. He just came out. And he came out.
Because he got to a point where if he's coming out, he has to charge for the ball.
Yeah.
Like, if you're out that far, you have to make a play for it. There is no getting out there and seeing what you need to do.
I think his timing was wrong. If he had waited like 1 second, he could have cleared it.
It was just it was a simple decision of it wasn't how far out do I go. It's I either go all the way out or I do not at all. And he got caught in the middle.
And let me tell you something, Carragher. And this Carragher, Ferdinand, I don't understand why they were so salty about Liverpool's celebration and the fact that they won the game.
Arsenal's celebration.
No, Arsenal's celebration. So what is wrong with Michael Arteta celebrating? What is wrong with the players celebrating? Why are y'all so salty and why they care about what Arsenal does? And Ferdinand was like, oh, I saw your boy. He talking about Arteta. He was running like he put in his 10,000 steps today. Like they won the league or something. Or they won the cup.
Yeah.
And Carragher was also salty and I like my boy Ian Wright, and he just came along and he was like, I think he tweeted or said something about they just want to kill the joy and stuff like that. Yeah. But why would you be so adamant about a celebration of players that just won, although you in your thinking is it's not the cup, why they're celebrating? Well, it's a win, and every win has to be celebrated depending on how they feel, and you can't take that from them, and you can't tell them how to celebrate.
I'm not saying it's the right thing or the wrong thing, but what I will say is that there's a track record of former Liverpool and Manchester United players really giving it to Arsenal players when they succeed, because whether or not they lose track of it or whatnot, I mean, Arsenal is the third winningest side.
Yeah.
Both in terms of leagues, and they have the most FA Cups of any European side ever, of any English side ever. But they really like to find the one avenue that they can't fight back, and they say, well, you haven't done anything in Europe. It's like, okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being third best in a nation, but players that have played for the first and second in that regard are the ones that usually sort of, they go to diminish the value of they're so used to needing to talk down to Arsenal players and Arsenal fans and supporters. That's what it is. Again, I'm not saying it's right, but I mean, that's what I expect from former United and Liverpool players and coaches. They look to do that whenever they can. They always punch down at Arsenal because Arsenal's not at their level historically, but they're nowhere near the bottom half of anything. Like, they're by far closest to them without being there.
There's always a lot of scrutiny, especially when it comes to old players from Liverpool or Manchester United. But I think that there's also a little bit of overhate in a sense, especially for this new Arsenal, and a lot of scrutiny and looking at, what has Arteta done? Or if he's doing that and it works, well, let's see how that will last. And every single thing they do is either, if they do well, then there's complaint, and if they don't do well, then there's complaint.
I told you. So, yeah.
Let them celebrate, man. Just get up there. I wouldn't say that.
I mean, no, I get it. And I mean, this is a very emotional Arsenal side. I think that Arsenal is a very emotional club in general. And maybe that's why they're maybe a bit too subjective with their own performances, and that's why they haven't succeeded well in Europe. Who knows? But unless you have anything else to say about Arsenal and Liverpool, you want to move on to the Madrid Clasico?
Oh, that was a good one.
Let's do that. Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. You have to think that for that, on paper, before the match started, with all of your defenders essentially being out, you had Nacho and you had Carvajal as your two center halves.
Yeah.
And Vinicius Jr. being out. If you had asked Carlo Ancelotti before the game, obviously not on camera because he wouldn't have said this, if he was okay with taking a draw with those players being out, give me a point. I'll take that. But
he has the effective though.
Well, but I was going to say, like, the performance that came, they should be let down.
Yeah.
They had at least 4 convincing chances.
Yeah.
Valverde missed a couple of passes that really could have led to some good build-up. He missed a couple of shots himself. Brahim Diaz missed a couple of shots. But it's one of those where missing who you're missing against a big rival like that, you take the draw and you're okay with it, but they had the opportunity to win it and they did squander it. And it just allows, I think, Atletico to still be in that talk for the top, but they're ultimately still not, I think.
Atletico Madrid is doing good this year so far, especially against Madrid, where they haven't, I don't think they've lost against Madrid this year. That's 2-0. Oh no, that's 1-0 and 1 draw. Yeah, so they've been doing good. But guess what, guys? When my boy comes there, we're gonna be unstoppable.
Who's your boy?
Mbappe.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
So, shots gonna be fired from all angles. Goalkeepers are not gonna know what to do. Goalkeepers are not gonna know how to catch balls. The defense are not gonna know who to mark, who to defend.
They're just gonna immediately forget. They're gonna forget all their training,
because we will be coming in hot.
That's what's gonna. Well, I'm glad that. So did you get a sort of coaching position?
Nah,
you didn't get the offer. Well, I mean,
they gotta give me.
Maybe the letter's in the mail still.
Yeah, they gotta give me more of like.
It's coming a long way from Spain.
Advertisement.
Gotcha. No, I think that Real Madrid obviously did not play as well as they are used to playing, and despite missing those opportunities, you can still see that the quality is there. I think that how much worse can their center half situation become? Truly, you have Militao out, you have Rudiger out, you have Alaba out. Not only is Nacho now your starting and like leading center half, you're moving Dani Carvajal from the left into the inside, and their defense for that set piece header, that was the reason that they dropped 2 points. I could have sworn that they were going to fix that in the January transfer window.
I too.
And they did not. Not only did they not fix it, but one of their players got hurt at the end of the window. Rudiger. It's wild. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still favorites for the title. But again, because it'll be probably one of the big matchups for next week, Girona and Real Madrid. Really deciding who's fighting for that title. That'll be a big potential 3 points overall. You want to go to Inter Milan and Juventus? Not too much to talk about there.
It was a good game. It has come to my understanding, because I watched, just from what I'm watching this season, Inter Milan is by far the superior. I think, let me rephrase this. I think by far Inter Milan this season is the best team out of Italy.
100%. In this game, this game was the fight for that. Those 3 points were basically what is going to keep Juventus out. Because Juventus have to go on a big streak, which I think that they can do. Against the other sides, but Inter Milan just have to coast, and I think that they can do that. That their lineup is deceptively good. Inter Milan, that back line, I think that Pavard plays well in this 3-man back. Despite whiffing that bicycle kick, which I thought was kind of funny. Bastoni, when does a bigger, and that sounds disrespectful, because Inter Milan have such a great history both in Italy and in Europe. But when does a Liverpool, when does a Real Madrid, talk about needing a center half? Bastoni. Could you imagine Bastoni and Eder Militao? That'd be really good. That'd be amazing.
That would be good.
And I mean, Inter Milan would be, they'd have all the power in terms of what willing to let him go or not. I wouldn't let him go. It'd take a lot of money.
You know what? I'm kind of excited to see Inter Milan. They will be playing Atletico Madrid, I guess. That would be a good clash.
And they're one of those clubs, I think, as well, because it's not that a lot of people don't watch the Italian league, but there aren't that many interesting matchups for the average viewer. I mean, don't get me wrong, Napoli and Inter Milan's a big one, or at least it should be based on last year's performance of Napoli, but they're not living up to that, and it's done. But when Inter Milan move past Atletico Madrid, because I think that they will, not super easily, but I think you're expecting like a 4-1 or 4-2 aggregate between two legs for me. I think in the quarterfinals, I think that they'll really show to the fans how good of a side that they are. Çalhanoğlu's very good. DeMarco, Barilla, Marcus Thuram will be a fan favorite if he can really play well in those late stages of the Champions League. But I think that they're an underrated side because they win these games, but they don't necessarily put in amazing performances that make all the highlight reels. So I think that they'll really shock a lot of people if they come up against an English side. But yeah, I mean, this basically shut down the Italian league. You would agree with that? It's done.
Definitely.
It's done. There's a
definitely.
There's a 4-point deficit between the two, and Inter Milan have a game in hand to play. So that's about it for that. Do you want to go ahead and hit these power rankings really quick? Did you do your own, or are you just going to make fun of mine again?
No, let's do yours.
Okay. You ready? Here we go. You ready to hear it? Here it goes. Number one, Real Madrid. Number 2, Inter Milan. Number 3, Liverpool. Number 4, Manchester City. Number 5, Bayer Leverkusen. Number 6, Bayern Munich. Number 7, Arsenal. Number 8, Girona. Number 9, Aston Villa. Number 10, Stuttgart.
Ooh, interesting. I have Bayern. Number 1. I have Bayer Leverkusen. Number 2.
Okay.
I have number 3. I have I'll put City.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 4. I was gonna put Madrid there, but they've been a little inconsistent.
But they're still getting good results, though.
Yeah, that's true. So I'll just drop them there.
That's why I have them at number 1.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're not playing amazingly.
Yeah.
But
they're
still getting it.
Yeah, I will put them at number 4. The number 5 would be Inter. Should I put number? What did you have number 5?
Number 5 for me was Bayer Leverkusen.
Okay, I see. No, I'll rather drop Arsenal number 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Number 6 will be Liverpool actually, because those guys they've been killing it. Number 7 will be Stuttgart.
Wow, nice.
Number 8 will be Barcelona.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Number 9 will be Lille.
Okay.
Lille is killing it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the French
it was two seasons ago that they stole a title, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 10. Let me just drop Girona there.
What about Nice? If you're going to go for French
Nice.
sides that are competing.
Yeah, Nice is killing it too. But recently, Lille has they've been doing a good job.
Unfortunately, still in the French table, no one is coming close on points to PSG. There's still an 8-point difference between PSG and Nice, I believe, which is a lot.
I mean, it's kind of normal. They're not gonna.
I know, yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason. No offense. I mean, not that I think you would care. That's why a lot of people don't really watch the French league that much.
Yeah.
Because there's usually that big of a point deficit, and you usually just see the French sides compete in the Champions League and Europa League. That's where a lot of people get their consumption of the French league teams performing.
Arsenal was linked with a lot of strikers. I wonder who they will pick now.
Yeah, it looked like I want to say this last piece of news real quick. Victor Osimhen is getting 2 solid offers from both Arsenal and Chelsea for English sides. It's not including anyone else that's coming around. And for me, the obvious answer is Arsenal. They're more cohesive.
Yeah.
You might get a better payday from Chelsea. In fact, I'm sure that's what they're going to hope for. And it's nothing personal, even as an Arsenal supporter. I think that it's pretty obvious to see that Arsenal, that's the missing piece. They are cohesive as a team outside of that, whereas even if you have a good goal scorer up top for Chelsea, there's so much inconsistency with the rest of you that they're just going to hinder whoever else is playing well, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, guess what? I was reading today, and I came across this thing. So, this thing says, oh, no, that's not what I'm trying to... this thing says, a new over 35 World Cup competition is set to be held in England this summer.
Interesting.
Yeah. This summer, with some football greatest legend being lined up to play.
How many injuries are there going to be?
I don't know how many games they will play, but it seems like they're trying to do this thing for, I think plans are in place to launch an 8-team tournament involving England, Argentina, Brazil, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Uruguay.
Okay.
The past champions of the FIFA World Cup will meet together. 7 matches are scheduled to be staged in the same stadium over 1 week at the start of June. I guess because these guys are a little old, you can't just say, we should go there.
No,
right?
not a chance for that.
While the venue is still being finalized, Mail Sport understands talk have taken place with some of the Premier League's biggest northern clubs. I guess it's for the stadiums.
Yeah.
The competition is being organized by the Elite Players Group. There's EPG, a group of top-level former footballers and sport businessmen who joined forces last year and will be known as EPG Group to try to create this thing. It's kind of like, hey, because I'm old, it doesn't mean that we just have to. We can. It's like what the basketball was like. Basketball in the US, Ice Cube is trying to do this 3 versus 3 NBA.
Yeah.
Not NBA, but his own league for players that retire. You can still showcase your talent. You can still have the crowd coming in. You can still.
I was gonna say you can still sell. You can still sell.
And
tickets
these guys
them,
will sell. They might not sell as big, but they will sell. Actually, let me take it back. You don't know because there's a point I want to get to. Under the proposal, only players who are aged 35 or over and have been capped by the country have been called. That's what it means for those of who are listening. All made 100 top flight appearances will be eligible to take part in the tournament. The captains of each country are founders of the EPG. Steve McManaman. This dude has the best name that I ever like. Because like you know.
Say it one more time.
Steve McManaman.
Yeah.
So he's a former English player. Every time the commentator like, oh, listen to me, and it's like, is McManaman having the ball? Like I was like, yeah, that's the name you want to have.
I love them. Yeah, that's funny.
So McNamara is set to lead England, while the other skippers are Esteban Cambiaso for Argentina, Emerson for Brazil, Christian Carambeu, and if you guys know, for France, Kevin Kourai for Germany. That don't sound like a German name. Marco Materazzi for Italy. Michel Salgado. Oh man, it brings back real memories. Diego Lugano from Uruguay. The provisional squad being circulated and seen by Mailsport include the 5 former Ballon d'Or winners. For England, these are players that are willing to play. Michael Owen, Brazilian, for England. For Brazil, will be Kaká, Ronaldinho, and Rivaldo.
Wow.
They're willing to play.
Yeah.
And for Italy, Cannavaro. If Cannavaro is willing to play, they will all come along. England are also said to have already enlisted Ashley Cole.
Wow.
Joe Cole. If you have Cole, you gotta have all the Coles.
Yeah.
Your name is Cole too, right?
Yeah.
Every time I think about it.
I did get the phone call to come over, but I can't because I'm nursing a knee injury.
Yeah. Rio Ferdinand, David James, Frank Lampard will be followed. That's a team.
Yeah, that's weird.
Other stars supposedly being lined up to feature include Brazil's Cafu, Roberto Carlos, France Thierry Henry, and Marcel Desailly.
Wow.
Argentina are said to have Hernan Crespo and Pablo Zabaleta involved, while Mesut Ozil and Khedira on Germany to have list. For Spanish, you have
Ozil.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that because years ago he said that he was done.
Internationally, he's retired, but that's for no.
That's just surprising to me because he kind of left nationals and club in negative ways.
Yeah. He had a lot of, especially with his I'm just brushing over. He's from Turkish origin, so he was trying to pay homage.
Right.
And the Germans didn't like that, and he created a lot of fuss. But
so that's just surprising. I mean, very cool. He still should be able to do something. Of those guys, he's still the most recent. So
the Spanish squad being circulated includes David Villa, Carlos Puyol, while Francesco Totti is down to play for Italy, and Diego Forlan is listed for Uruguay.
Wow.
You know a lot. Do you know anything about just old glories? So if you had to pick a team in that tournament, and it's crazy because most of these guys are legends in their own respective right? If you had to pick a team to win, what team would you pick?
Of those, from what you said, that Brazilian side sounds pretty insane. I think that they have the edge on that one just a little bit.
Because what would Brazil call? Let's say they make an 11, they will call Daniel Alves. Oh, he has a lot of troubles right now, so I don't think he might be.
Ooh, I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
But they will call Thiago Silva, but Thiago Silva is still playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say he would have to turn that down.
But
I think
the criteria is you just have to be over 35.
Right.
And that's why I think it's kind of iffy because Messi could play for that side of Argentina.
But they would be like one of the few guys that are still playing club football during this process. Everybody else is pretty much retired and have been for at least 3 years or so.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo won't be playing because I don't think he's retiring international next year. But Messi is retiring
too much money.
Internationally this year after the tournament on the was that the Copa America. He's retiring.
Yeah.
But Thiago Silva might not be. Is he retired internationally? If he's not, he probably might not feature.
Yeah.
Because you're having a real active player playing with these dudes that really haven't been playing for a while.
Yeah.
But they can call Neymar. Neymar is retired internationally for Brazil.
God, that's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah.
They can call Daniel Alves. Not Daniel Alves. But they can call Renato Augusto. They can call William. They can call David Luiz. They can call Ramirez. They can call Robinho.
Yeah.
They can call Julius Caesar for goalkeeper. They can call Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
They can call
Fernandinho. They wanted to.
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of players.
He'd be a good player to come off the bench, Fernandinho, I think.
Yeah, well, since it's retiree stuff, they might cap it to they might shorten to 30 times 2.
Yeah.
Or if it's 45 times 2, the intensity might not be good. But might not be that high. But I think there's a lot of players that still have the sauce. And they might sauce up this old players. Like, you imagine Ronaldinho playing against someone like Rio Ferdinand and just saucing him up and just at this point in their life, any boost movement might create a dislocation.
Oh wow. Yeah. So, yeah. No, I mean that'd be very cool to do some coverage on as well. That'd be very very interesting to see that.
That'd be interesting to see them playing. It's friendly competition.
Yeah.
I feel like if that's a thing, Argentina might be dangerous because you can call Messi, he's retired, and Di Maria is also retired. I think he's retired. If not, he will be retiring. You can call Otamendi.
Yeah.
You can call Mascherano. You can call Zabaleta. You can call Demichelis. You can call Sergio Aguero. Sergio Aguero, is it? Yeah.
He would gladly do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you for the French, actually the French, if you look at that, if you wanted to look at who they can call, I think they probably might be the most dangerous team among all of them because they have Thierry Henry, Franck Ribéry, William Gallas. You know William Gallas. These are the guys that won the World Cup. Michael Landreau, Florent Malouda. You know Malouda from Chelsea days?
Yeah.
Makelele, the guy who created that 6th position that Kante played. You can call David Trezeguet. You can call Patrice Evra, Nicolas Anelka, Robert Pires, Zidane. That's
talking about dislocating a hip, though. I don't know about Zidane.
Zidane can definitely.
I'm kidding. But yeah, no, we should definitely cover some of that. But
if that would happen, though, that would be great.
Well,
and also the FIFA also released the final stadiums for the games. Did you see that?
No.
The final is gonna be played in New York at the Met Stadium.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. What would you do? Would you try to go watch?
Hell no. No.
You don't like the games like that?
No, I'm not going up there. Not a chance.
I think there's one that's been played, or that will be played in Dallas, and there's one in Atlanta.
Atlanta would be worth going to.
In Mexico, is it Mexico? Mexico. They choose the Azteca Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Pele won the World Cup there. Did he win there? And also Maradona won the World Cup there.
Yeah.
That's an iconic stadium.
Yeah, I'd make the trip to Atlanta, maybe Dallas.
Yeah, I think I will make it. I think if it's that Atlanta, I think I want to do that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that was a stacked episode. Lots of good news, lots of good match reviews, and this 35 World Cup is pretty interesting as well. And if there's more updates on that, we will get them out to you. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe. All of this beautiful content. Yeah. It's immaculate to look at. I just look at it sometimes and I say, "Wow, that's immaculate." Follow us on social media. Give us that Spotify star review. We work hard for you guys, so spread the news.
Yeah,
get us out there to other people, and
spread the good news. Go subscribe on our TikTok too.
Yep.
And all our platforms.
Twitter if you want to, but really TikTok and YouTube are and then Spotify. That's where we really shine.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.